Alright everybody, we are in Las Vegas. The car's all ready to do its warm-up. We'll do that here in a few minutes and we'll go up for our first qualifier here on Friday. Got a couple questions, people asking me what is my favorite track. I actually have two. I have for location and beautiful scenery and everything, I absolutely love Bristol. But for the track and the racing itself, right here in Las Vegas, I love this track. It's easy access when you're driving the semi. Everything about it is a good time down here. So those are my two favorite. Alright guys, it is Saturday morning. We're number 2 qualifier as of Friday. We had a really good run yesterday. Today we're going to just keep doing the same thing. Motor is really happy. I'm pretty excited. It was a great day yesterday. Everything just flowed and went really well, so hopefully we do the same thing today. DB Cooper asked about the braking system, like is it a handbrake, what type of brakes. So it is a handbrake. It's right, you can see it in there. It is right there. Reach my hand over, there's the handbrake. And so we run a handbrake, that's how he stages with it and stuff, and then the brakes themselves are right there, and they're carbon on carbon as per SFI requirement with NHRA. So that's a big carbon fiber rotor with a carbon fiber pad. Make everybody happy. Yeah. Alright guys, so Robert Craighead asked what's the cost of nitromethane. So here we got a drum. They're 42 gallons in a drum, I believe, and each drum is $1,542. So right now nitro's costing us $37 a gallon, and we go through 16 to 18 gallons every time we go down the track. Not the cheapest stuff on the planet. Alright guys, we are in the lanes for Q2 here in Las Vegas. Yesterday went extremely well. Qualified number 2 and the motor came back really happy. Really happy. So hopefully we can do more of the same today. Gonna give it a shot. Robert Haworst asked about the rich idle mixture, like you've seen in Bristol. A lot of a lot of vapor coming off the pipes in the idle and stuff. Yeah, we run a really rich mixture because nitro brings so much oxygen to the party. You have to. And the other thing is we use the fuel kind of to control temperature. So during that idle and all that, we kind of regulate how many gallons per minute the pump's doing to how much fuel it's given to kind of, we curb cylinder head temperature with it. So you can, if it's really cold out, you might go with a little bit less fuel to kind of put a little bit more heat in it. A little hotter out, you go with a little more fuel. And that's kind of how they're managing it, and that's why we run, part of the reason why it runs so rich at idle. Alright guys, so Shane Harder asked, can the engine survive a hole out? Yeah, it all kind of depends on when the hole goes out and what's kind of going on. So it's a if it puts a hole out real late in the run, it's really not that big a deal. It doesn't really hurt anything. You just lose a little bit of ET in that. If it puts a hole out early in the run, it's much more damaging, or has the potential to be more damaging. A lot of times if we see a hole out early in the run, that's what he's got that kill box for. He'll just shut the run down and not worry about it. But on race day, you don't want to shut it down. You still got a chance to win. So if you put a hole out early, that cylinder quits producing power, and it puts a lot of load on the neighboring cylinder. So that's what happens. It usually will beat up bearing out of the one next to it or the one on the other side of it. And that's the problem, and that's when we'll lose it and throw the rods out when it puts a hole out, is because it's stressing everything around it because it's not pulling its weight. All right, everybody, it is Sunday, race day. We are in the lanes. We're going to be first pair out against Alex Laughlin in the Haviland car. Anyways, we like going first, second pair. We kind of enjoy that. Yesterday we on that pass we went really well, but we pulled a main stud out of the block. So we thrashed and get enough parts together and stuff fixed up so that we would have enough for today. So that's why we didn't make our third and final qualifier. But anyways, car's been running really good. That was no fault other than just that it happens. Pulls no main stud. Davey T asked, do we run a normal throttle cable or is it drive-by-wire? No, we run a throttle cable. It's not drive-by-wire. There it is right there with the throttle stop on it for the burnout. You can see that. The one thing that is a little bit different though is we got air hooked up right here. And that's for the kill box. If we need to shut him down, or the RF at the end of the track needs to shut him down, it goes off and it hits an air solenoid that'll pull the pin out of this thing, so it'll shut the throttle blades and get the car to shut down. It also shuts the fuel off and shuts a couple other things off. So anyways, that's what it's all about. All right, we're gonna try to turn on 4 wind lights today. Thank you all for watching. Alright guys, so first round obviously we lost. Super frustrating when the car ran so good all weekend. We go into first round and this is not what you want to see. So there's the head gasket and there's the head on number 7. Cause of the green fire and slow ET. It was picking on number 2 as well. So, and it broke. But there's our bigger problem. Anywho, that's racing. That's why you don't race on paper. We win that race 9 out of 10 times. Not today. So good luck to them. And Palmer and Alex Laughlin, they're really good people, and I hope they do really well today. Thanks everybody for watching. All right, guys. So obviously we torched ahead in Las Vegas and lost first round, which is really disappointing, being as the car was running so good in qualifying. Super happy with it, but and I don't have a good answer of why it torched the head yet. And I don't know if Mike does. I know he's looking into it. He'll figure it out. But it is what it is. It's a little frustrating. Felt like we had a really good car to go some rounds and maybe clinch one yet this year. But anyways, we'll go to Pomona this next weekend and give it one last honest effort. We got some parts and we'll be rolling down there. So I figured I'd answer a few more questions. I appreciate everybody watching. Jay Walker asked, what's the high-low map? And so did a couple other people. The high-low map is kind of predetermined pressure settings in the clutch, so we can read the plate pressure or anyways. This is how I understand it. I might not be perfect on this. I'm not in the clutch, but they're predetermined. So if it sees too much plate load or too much pressure, it stops the cannon. Because we control the throttle bearing, we call it the cannon. So as it's moving, we control how fast we move it, and we can slow it down, pause it, and whatnot. So if it sees too much pressure, it'll pause it, and it causes little spikes, so that will decrease pressure, allow the clutch to slip some more before we add more pressure. Or if it's not seeing enough pressure, if it goes too low, it'll force the cannon to go a little bit quicker. I hope I have that the right direction. That's basically what it is. It's a high and a low side, which we don't really want to see either of those sides. We want it to run in our range in the middle and not have it do the dead stop little things. But as I understand it, and that's kind of how Mike explained it to me, that's the high and the low map. It can try to save you. You're still going to blow tires off. You're still going to, shake if you're not got enough. Anyways, but it can help us get through sometimes. And that's all it is it's just trying to keep it in between a predetermined set on the map. The actual flows and stuff, he's trying not to hit the high map or the low map. He's trying to stay in between those on a nice fluid run. But sometimes if it wears more or whatnot, it can just help save the run. Another question I got was from Adrian Fernandez, who builds and updates your driver's chassis? Currently, we have a DSR chassis, and they did the last front hasp we had done. They do a good job, and we've been using them since I've been on the team. So that's where it's at. I know there's some others out there. I don't know. I think we're due to a front half again, but probably just front half the chassis we have at least one more time. And keep running it. It's not seeing anything real bad or real violent. We've had some tire shake episodes that make sure you check it real good. But anyways, DSR, that's who we're using. And then one question I had, is what are the guys doing at the top end before Clay even gets out of the seat? So that's the safety safari, and they're probably looking for anything leaking or fire, where they'll put water down the headers. They surround that thing as soon as it comes in to make sure that there's not an issue. And then when I get to the top end, Clay's usually already out of the car, and me and two other guys, we back the motor down. So we're going to turn the motor opposite rotation. It kind of helps the valves as well, as the exhaust valves tend to want to move when it's cooling down like that. So we'll back it off and let them reseat a couple times. And we're taking a few things off, some blower straps, some lines and stuff to try to help on the service when we get down while we're doing that. Then I jump in the car, and one jumps in the race car, one's in the back, and then we tow forward and either scale or not, depending on what NHRA wants us to do. Usually if we improve upon a so you always have to scale the first qualifying pass if you make it down the track. And then anytime you improve in qualifying, you have to scale again. Unless they tell you not to. And then every round, depending on what we're doing, they will tell us to scale or tell us not to scale. Sometimes that has to do with the tight schedule of TV, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But, it's up to NHRA on race day whether we scale or not. And then we get back. And then one more is John Carter asked, I never understood why when the engine drops a cylinder, the boost pressure for the rest of the cylinder is increasing, as the blower is just a pressurization unit for an air pump. They shouldn't be affected by ignition. Well, it's not affected by ignition. It's affected by the lack of burning fuel and air. So when that cylinder that drops all that fuel and air goes into that cylinder and it doesn't burn it, it can't push out as much as it takes in. So if you think about it, intake valves are bigger than exhaust valves because as you combust, you have less in there to have to force out. So you can get away with a smaller exhaust valve. You usually get away with less duration, all kinds of different things depending on what kind of motor you're running. But we do have a smaller exhaust valve. So when it's going in there and it's not being ignited, you can't get it all back out. So it can't take as much, which will elevate the boost numbers in the rest of the cylinders because that air is going to go somewhere. So it just allows there to be a little bit more boost in the rest of the cylinders and can cause you some other issues. And that's why it's really hard on the motor when one hole goes out and you keep running it, depending on where it goes out. You know, late track, you put a hole out, it doesn't really hurt much. Really early in a run, you put a hole out, you best want to shut that thing down because it probably is going to throw the rods out before it gets to the other end because it's creating so much more stress on the parts around the cylinder with the hole out. Them having more boost could be running lean because it's got more boost than you planned, all of those kind of things. So I hope that answers everybody's question. One last race of the season. I hope we go out there and rock it and close one down. It would be stellarly awesome. Everybody's been doing their job really well. The team's doing really well. We just got to, you know, it ain't easy to win one of these. We just need everything happen right at the right time. So anyways, thanks again for watching. We'll do some off-season videos. We'll do a video of Pomona, maybe some other projects I got going on. But anyways, appreciate y'all. Thank you.